The projections at ESPN have the Patriots favored to have the number one pick in the draft next year. Number one pick. 22% chance of landing the number one pick. Carolina is next at 21%. And then I should tell you, there's a drop to Denver, I think it was, at number 3 and then number 4. But the point being is this. The Patriots right now look like they're going to have a top 3, top 5 pick in the draft. That's what it looks like. Do you agree? Does it look that bleak?
Yeah, I think that the number 1 overall seems a little bit overly bleak to me. But I mean, what are we? We're going to split hairs over the number 1 overall pick or 3. I think that they are going to be hard pressed to get out of the top 5. Or so. I mean, you never know with the injuries to other teams and bounces of the ball here or there. But they won 4 games last year. I think that in some ways the competition is going to be tougher, with the Jets as an example, figured to be 2 tougher games than the ones you split last year. So, yeah, I don't think it's unfair to suggest that they're probably going to be looking in the top 10 anyway of the draft, but more likely the top 5.
Top 10?
More likely the top 5.
Top 5, thank you.
They're going to suck, but the thing that bugs me a little bit, look, I get it. They're going to suck, but I think they could be fun bad. I can deal with fun bad. Last year was bad. I mean, that Chargers game at the end of the year.
I agree.
The Jets game.
I can't do that again.
Yeah, no, me either. Please. My God, I mean, you got to do the same thing. You're working Sundays. I do it too. I'm like, this is the worst. But so if they're fun bad, I can live with it. You can see the upward trajectory. But I just can't see. The thing that bugs me is, they're going to be worse than the Panthers. Yeah, that's the one they lost.
I could nitpick and say they're not going to be the number 1 because I think the Panthers are worse. I think you could make an argument for another team or two, but
yeah, I'm usually not.
Am I going to die on the wall? Oh no! They're not going to have the first pick. They're going to have the 3rd.
Yeah. So it's just that part feels like piling on. I'm usually not that guy. The national media is piling on, but it just feels like, guys, calm down. Name more than 2 Panthers because they lost their best player who got traded to the Giants, Brian Burns. Other than the rookie the second-year quarterback who blows, and Adam Thielen. Name a Panther. And I know I'm a little biased, and I know the team a little bit more, but I feel like you can actually name players on the Patriots on both sides of the ball more than you could than the Panthers. It's just that
you could.
No, I think nationally people could too. Matthew Judon, Hunter Henry, the quarterback. Beyond that, all right, so it's 3, maybe 4.
Right. I think even nationally, some of the players that I think are really promising Patriots. Christian Gonzalez, Christian Barmore.
Yeah.
A couple of,
There you go, 2 couple more.
But for New England people, I'm not necessarily sure that in Charlotte they're like, that Christian Barmore, he's really come on.
Yeah.
I think we think he's a pretty good player, and he is.
I just find the Panthers part of it insulting. They're going to suck, but to say they're going to be they're going to be so bad they're getting the number 1 pick. It's
I thought there was a difference even last year between Carolina and the rest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's not necessarily Bryce Young related. The team itself was stripped of a lot of talent, and they continued, as you mentioned, Jim, with Brian Burns. They're trying to really tear it all the way down to the studs and start over.
Rate their offseason for me, Paul, thus far. How do you feel about the Patriots offseason? And let's start with the personnel moves.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not talking about yet the Mayo era. I'm talking about, and I mean Gerard Mayo. The personnel moves, give me your 2 cents. It's been a while since we talked to you.
Yeah, I would say maybe a B-. I think that some of the re-signings, I think, were really solid moves. I think that sort of retaining a guy like Michael Onwenu, I thought made some sense to sort of try to have at least, some semblance of stability up front. That's a big weakness in the team, the offensive line. So that's one move I liked. I liked the idea of, they had to re-sign Hunter Henry. I mean, they had no tight ends on the roster. Kyle Duggar, I like the idea of a guy who was productive for you as a draft pick and he comes around. Let's see if we can keep some of these guys. And I do think that's something Belichick was really good at for a long time and sort of fallen off in that department. And in recent years, the guys weren't getting second contracts on a consistent basis. A couple here or there, but not enough.
So purely from a culture standpoint.
So I like that, and I know that's, and we talked about this in the email chain. I did get a chance to talk to Gerard a little bit about that element. Was that why it was so important to keep guys? Yeah. He said flat out, I don't want to go out in free agency and pay for something I don't know. These guys are known commodities. They've done the work. They've put in the time. We know they fit with how we want to do it. Why not reward those guys that you know? Now, I think they may have done it a little bit too often.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, in one end, it's refreshing. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No, you didn't.
But it does feel like they're almost doing it to prove a point. And it's like, well, you doing this for, because you're comfortable with these guys? You could maybe get someone a little bit more talented you'd have to pay a little bit more for. And is it just come down to, well, Bill didn't do this, so we're going to do it?
Now, I think it's more the former. I think that they're comfortable with those guys, and that was important at both Gerard Mayo and Elliott Wolf. I think they wanted to try to establish their culture, and they felt like these guys were going to be their culture guys. And you see that with, do you remember way back when Belichick got here? What did he do? He went out and signed a bunch of Jets.
Brian Cox and guys like that.
Bobby
too.
Hamilton, Rick Lyle, Anthony Pleasant. There was a lot of guys that were all from the Jets because they're culture guys. And Parcells did the same thing in New England when he got here. Back in the early '90s. So I can understand what the mindset was. Again, I think you can make an argument that individually all the signings are solid, but did he have to sign 8, 9 guys? Now, I really like the extension for Barmore. I think you get a guy that, you get him early. I think that was a good team-friendly deal, to be honest with you. I think if you waited till he got on the open market, it would have cost you more than that, provided that he stayed healthy. Obviously, that's the risk for the player. That's why the player signs early.
So I don't think anybody has any issue with the Barmore deal in particular, and I would say that generally speaking, everybody's on board with the culture part of it.
Barmore's probably their best player.
And Murray, we've heard from fans. I think that most fans generally agree with that part of it. But one of the questions I have, Paul, and this relates to your expectations for what the organization was going to be post Tom Brady, and for that matter, post Bill Belichick. Okay, given where they are now, is this what you thought? Did you think it would be like this, which basically feels like a tear down, a complete start over for the most part? They've re-signed a few guys, but they're starting at ground zero. It's literally starting all over again.
Yep.
Is this what you expected, and are they better or worse than they were at the end of last season?
This is not what I expected when Brady left. So we're going on 5 years now. I thought that this process sort of started in 2020, right? That's the COVID year, 2020?
Yes, right, correct.
Yeah, I thought that process, that roster was lacking in a lot of areas. And I thought they would be further along based on that than they are now. Now, obviously, the quarterback is huge, but this team isn't like a quarterback away right now. I thought there would be more around the quarterback. We're talking about the idea of, a T. Higgins or a Brandon Ayuk possibly being available, and should the Patriots get aggressive and go after a guy like this? And one of the drawbacks, is, well, are they ready for that? Like, what good is Brandon Ayuk when you don't know what you have yet around him and around the quarterback? I wouldn't have thought that would have been a question in 2020.
So would you not go get a guy like Ayuk?
I would, because I really like him, but I would need to sign him. I don't want to just get him for a year and then let him walk. If you're going to invest some resources in him, then you have to be prepared to give him the money too, and then say, okay, I'm going to make sure he has a number one receiver.
Okay, but
yes, I would be in favor of it. Yes.
So then you'd be in favor of Higgins because that's obviously a longer term deal. So what I'm saying, Paul, is this:
no, Higgins and Ayuk could both have 1 year on their deals.
Well, but I'm assuming that. Well, I see what you're saying. I was going to say I'm assuming that you're signing Higgins, and I'm assuming you're signing both of these guys.
It's a long-term deal.
Yes.
Yeah. After you make the deal,
and you'd bring those guys in now.
I would. Now, would it be my preference to do it now? No. But if they're, you can't get to choose. You don't get to pick and choose when a guy is available. Now, let's just say, for argument's sake, Jim, you said something about 10 minutes ago about this has at least the potential to be a little bit more of a fun 5 and 12.
Yeah.
And I would agree. And that to me would be contingent on Drake May playing, substantial amount of games. And do you remember, Tony, you'll remember this. Before Parcells, there was one of those Dick McPherson years.
Hugh Millen.
One of those years was really fun.
6-11, and they were fun.
Yeah, they were fun. Every game went down to the last drive. Most of them, Hugh Millen screwed up, but a few of them he won.
We don't have to go that far back. Can you
they
be
went
the
6 and 10.
6 and 10.
Can you be the Justin Fields Bears? I can live with that. They're fun bad. I know they've moved on from
certainly
them,
the last half of last year. Every one of their games was like 31-26.
Yep.
I'd watch that.
Boy, we've sunk that low, huh?
No,
yeah.
but
it
if
just
you do
can't
that,
be last year.
This is typical Paul. I go the long way to grandma's house. If you do that and you have that kind of a sort of an entertaining year out of your young quarterback, show some promise, I'm all in on that number one receiver now. Let's get that number one receiver, and let's see if we can get it to the next level. If you don't get that with the quarterback, then you're going to invest $100 million plus in Brandon Ayuk for what? Who's going to throw him the ball? That's the.
Yeah, if the kid's going to
dilemma.
play, then go do it. If not, then it's a waste. I'm with you on that.
Like I said, we've fallen a long way here in Boston. Boy, we've fallen a long way. Let's get excited about a fun team that goes 5-12. That'll be thrilling.
After last year, yeah,
I'm not necessarily saying Jim and I are going to be excited on Sundays when we're doing post-game shows. But it's a little bit more fun to say, hey, that touchdown pass they threw was pretty good, instead of losing 6-0. That's what you had last year.
In the pouring rain.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.